G'day YouTube, it's Ralph here, and in today's video I would like to talk about the mindset on how to lose weight. So before I start talking about the topic, I would like to briefly introduce myself. Again, I'm Ralph. Just a quick story about myself. I'm a registered nurse here in Australia with a decade of experience backing me up in high acuity settings such as intensive care, emergency department, and currently practicing on a peri-operative care unit. I'd like to learn about things that is involving about the health niche in general, such as taking care of our body and our mind as well. Also, I'm an avid follower of the bodybuilding space, how I transformed my body in general. With all this interest that is in my mind, I've used all those things that I've learned from it and created an approach that I could use to transform my body from being skinny fat into, I would say I'm sitting currently at around 15% body fat. So let's start talking about on how I can get you on the right track if you want to lose weight or fat in general. Unfortunately, losing weight or fat is not just about dieting or exercising or going to the gym. It's about mindset, to be honest. Habits and understanding your behavior towards food and just how you live your life in general. I will talk about the importance of psychology in losing fat or weight, understanding the difference between motivation and discipline, why willpower is not enough into this journey, and also the importance of building a system that is time-based with attainable goals in general. I'll just give you guys a quick ramble on how I started with my journey. So when I was starting my fat loss journey, back then I didn't really have a system in place. I just watch or do some research on the web or like things that I could find in social media such as like Instagram, Facebook, or even YouTube. I fell into the traps of like different fad diets, like you name it, I've tried it all. Like I've done ketogenic diet back then. I did that for 6 months and I wouldn't really recommend that to everyone. It's not my cup of tea. I did some plant-based diet as well because I fell into the hype of veganism. Lastly, I did intermittent fasting. I had the personality of like going all in when I tried certain stuff. So when I did intermittent fasting, like with everyone who got into this journey, they started doing like the 16-8, meaning 16 hours of fasting in an 8-hour window period of eating. So I did that, and I actually did like an extreme version of it, like fasting for let's say 24 hours in a week, sometimes even more, like 48. Like I think the most that I did was like a 3-day straight fast, and yeah, they do work, but they're not sustainable, unfortunately. With all those things that I've learned throughout all those different diets that I tried in general, there's only one thing that is important on losing weight. It's basically understanding your relationship with what you eat, on how you behave in terms of like stress in general, and also like focusing on your discipline in general, with sticking into the system that you set in place. So like I said before, like I didn't have any system back then. I just went all in into a certain diet without a proper system in place. I did lose the weight, let's say for 6 months when I did that ketogenic diet. Yeah, I got skinny, but since I didn't really have like a proper system that I could sustain, I eventually regained it back a year later, and I was actually a lot bigger when I rebounded. It's a phenomenon that happens every now and then when you're trying to lose weight. It's a thing called the yo-yo effect. Basically, it's just your body trying to survive. Like if you starve it for a bit, and then when you eat, like when you're not tracking on how much you're putting into your body, you just basically blow up. So that's what happened to me. Also probably I was eating a lot in surplus. We'll talk about those technical things about dieting in my future videos, but for now let's just focus on like the psychology of losing weight. The reason why I wanted to talk about the psychology first rather than like the technical aspects, because I wanted to plant that seed in your head, because you have to have a strong why when you want to lose weight. What I mean by that is, like, for some people, like, in order for them to lose weight, they have like a strong drive to do it. Like, let's say there's like a traumatizing past that they've experienced, such as like bullying, or let's say if they have like some sort of like a chronic condition that prevents them from functioning normally. Those things could happen too, and could result into like sort of like a drive or a pivot into their mindset that they wanted to change their appearance. In other aspects, like they just wanna feel good, they just wanna live longer, or they just have that clothes that they just wanted to fit. It really differs for each person. Like, what is your reason behind why you want to lose weight? The reason why I wanted you guys to ask that question to yourself, because on this journey it can be really hard. Like, it's not an easy track. Let's say if I'm gonna coach someone right now, I would say the safest amount that I could suggest for people trying to lose weight is to go at least for 16 weeks. That's where you can see an improvement on your physique or changes in general. But throughout the journey, you'll see like you're slightly improving. And if the why is not strong enough while you're in that journey, like things can get really tough. Like, we're talking about like when you get stressed, you get those triggers. Let's say when you got really exhausted from work and you just wanna like eat something nice and tasty, because sometimes with coping with stress you wanted to eat something yummy, you know, like grab some McDonald's or whatever fast food that you could fancy off after a stressful day. Because if the why is not strong enough, you'll basically break the rules. As simple as that. And when you do that, you're basically not honoring your promise to yourself that you wanted to lose weight. That's why I wanted to ask yourself, guys, like, what is your why? Like, you have to know that first, because if the why is not strong enough, the how won't really get executed consistently. So that's the first step. What is the compelling reason, or like, what is your strong why? The next thing that I wanted to talk about is like motivation. Like, let's say every new year you guys have some high energy and spirits, like you wanted to change your appearance, or you wanna do good this year, and then you give yourself like 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, like, it's gone. Like, you don't wanna stick into your system, and you just basically fall back into your old habits, and the New Year's resolution is done. So that's a common trend. This is why I wanted you guys to know that motivation is fleeting, but discipline is real. With motivation, like, it comes and goes. It has something to do with your like endorphins or whatever happy hormones do you have in your brain. And when that's gone, and when things get hard, discipline will save you from those moments, because discipline teaches you on how to be consistent through easy or tough times. Instead of like putting your focus on motivation, let's set up a system for you guys, or just research some system on the web and just stick to it. Like I said before, 16 weeks is like probably the safest duration if you want to lose weight, and you'll see some like significant change after that period. Also, with discipline, like, let's say while you're in the middle of your journey, let's say you're in the 4th week or 5th week, I bet you guys, if you're about to start this journey, the first 2 to 3 weeks you'll have like a significant amount of weight loss. That's just the first stage of losing weight. So because what happens to the body is like when you're trying to eat less, so the glycogen stores on your muscle gets depleted. That's where the water gets stored, and basically you flush all that water out to your body. That's just basically what happens when you eat less carbs. I don't want to talk about that right now. I'll talk about it in the future. Why does it happen? But like I said, like the first 2 to 3 weeks, you'll have that significant jump on weight loss, and then all of a sudden the scale will stop moving. Like the reason why discipline is important, like when these things happen, discipline will just basically help you on to go through these tough times. Because psychologically, you'll start doubting or like questioning the approach of your system, like if it's working or not. But when you're disciplined into a certain aspect, you don't really care. You just stick into that routine that you've set for yourself for the next 16 weeks, and then long term you'll benefit from the result. So basically, discipline will get you through those hard times, and keeping your discipline in yourself, you're actually building that self-respect. What I mean by that is that you're honoring your promise to yourself, because discipline is the decision that you make to yourself that you'll do the right thing instead of like falling back into your old habits, or just choosing the right decision that lines up into your long-term goal, which is like losing fat. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is reframing the mind. So what I mean by reframing the mind, it's basically when you experience a setback while you're in this journey of like trying to lose weight. So let's say you're like on the later weeks of your dieting, you just feel hangry. What I mean by hangry is like hungry and angry. Like you're gonna start eating less calories each week, and you're gonna start feeling hangry, or like you get a little bit more sore after your workouts. Instead of like victimizing yourself about like, you can't like function anymore because you're too hungry, or you can't go to the gym because you're too sore. Like instead of like doing nothing, you have to tell yourself that that's the indicator that you're about to grow or you're about to change. That feeling of discomfort is an indicator that you're getting closer to your goal that you've set for yourself. Because the thing about the subconscious mind is that when you experience pain and fear, you immediately get into this self-defense mode, meaning like it's either you'll stop doing what are you doing, like let's say dieting in general, or you don't want to go to the gym because you're still sore. Like there's a different level of being sore when you're working out. Like if you're sore in general, like let's say if it feels like it's too painful, meaning like you could possibly injure yourself, yeah, sure, you can excuse yourself from that. But if you're just feeling like your muscle is really sore, like it's a different type of pain, your subconscious mind will stop you from like sticking to your routine. That's just the primate mind telling you like all your stress hormones like is telling you like stop, don't do it. You have to reframe your mind to tell yourself that discomfort means that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're basically growing. As simple as that. Learn to reframe your mind when you start to feel some setbacks or discomfort. It just means that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Now let's talk about building a healthy habit. So I was talking about like building a system or a structure, right? When you create a structure or system, it should line up on your long-term goal. When I talk about structured system, we're talking about meal plans, time of the day that you work out or exercise. That is important because when you're in this journey, you're prioritizing all those tasks, because you're not gonna achieve results if you're not putting emphasis or importance on the system that you created for yourself. When you manage to create that system, the next thing to do is like finding a good substitute on the foods that you normally eat. Like let's say if you have like a sweet tooth cravings, like in my case, I do have a sweet tooth because back then I loved eating like Krispy Kreme or like some donuts in general. Cakes, yeah, ice cream. But I haven't had those for quite some time. Like probably like 3 weeks ago when I was having a holiday back home in Manila. After eating it, it was fine, it was good. But since I've already found a substitute that I actually enjoyed, because I've been doing it for a long time and consistently. The way I did it is that, let's say if I'm craving for something sweet, instead of like eating those ultra processed foods, I just found a very satiating, healthy fruits. I chose foods like, let's say, watermelon and green apples. The reason why I chose green apples because, like, if you're trying to lose weight, obviously you're trying to cut down the carbs in general, and red apples has some more carbs compared to green apples. But the taste's not really that different, to be honest. Like, you'll just notice like a very slight difference in terms of like sweetness. And also, like, I was trying to be economical in terms of like the nutrition that I put into my body, because green apples high in vitamin C. I mean, it's more nutritious in general compared to red apples, but they're both healthy options. I've trained myself into like just having those instead of like resorting on eating ultra processed foods like cakes, donuts. Watermelon is really good too because it's high in vitamin B12, vitamin C, and it doesn't have much calories in it because when you eat watermelon, it's just basically water in general. It's packed with vitamins though, so lots of micronutrients, so that's why I love that fruit whenever time I try to cut down weight. So yeah, find those healthy options instead of like eating the ultra processed foods that's not really lining up into your long-term goals. When you're making this changes in your habits, you have to start small. So because the thing about like changing your habits, like if you start really big in terms of like having lots of options, you're gonna get overwhelmed, and then when that happens, like psychologically it will just hit you, and that could end up like breaking your spirit, and then all of a sudden you're just gonna resort back into your old habits, which we don't really want when you're trying to lose weight. Make a small consistent changes throughout this journey. Like in my case, how I started eliminating the foods that is not lined up with my long-term goal. I started with my favorites, which is like sweets, and then after, like the next thing is just like eliminating fast food. Like I haven't had McDonald's for more than a year now. So instead of like having cheeseburger in fast food, I just like make them from scratch, because in my case I like cooking, and I'm able to like know how much protein and how much macros I'm putting in my body. I know everyone doesn't like to cook. My girlfriend doesn't like to cook, so if that's the case, like there's some meal prepped that you can purchase online or in your local grocery. You can try those as long as the macros is really good. What I mean by macros, that it has a good amount of protein, like per meal it should be at least, like in my case, 30 grams. That's my minimum per meal. Like a good amount of carbs, fibrous carbs in general, and little amount of fat. If you're eating like fast foods in general, like those are really fatty and greasy foods. Like, yeah, sure, it doesn't look like filling when you just looked at it with your naked eye, but once you start investigating how much fats and carbs it has, then you'll realize that that's the reason why you're not achieving your fat loss goals, because those things could really get out of hand quickly. So when you're making these small consistent changes into your habits, you gotta track your progress. What I mean by that is that you have to keep checking on yourself every day, just to make sure that you're on the right track. That would mean that you have to weigh yourself each morning. Like in my case, I have a healthy habit of like when I wake up, obviously I go to the toilet and do my thing there, and after I dry myself up, check my weight, because I like to check my weight with an empty bladder, and then write that down or just journal it through my health app on my iPhone. From there, I just go through my normal routine, which basically I stretch, do my cold shower, and then go to the gym. So things like that. Tracking your progress, track your weight, take a photo each week to see how you're going with your physique progress. Track your calories. That is very important. Like, I know some of you guys don't want to do it, but believe me, this is one of the vital aspects that you need to do in order for you to lose weight. Because remember when I said back then that I don't have like a structured system when I was trying to lose weight, and I just basically regained it back. Because I don't know how much I'm putting into my body when I'm not tracking. So you have to track. With my mentor, with my other business, he told me one thing that hit me. It's basically, you can't improve what you can't measure. You have to have the data. So when you're tracking, you have to know how much you're putting into your body. In that way, you're actually investigating if your calories and your daily check on your weight actually lines up to your long-term goal. And that's basically the easiest way to do it. It's just counting calories. Like, I can't really emphasize it more than other things that you can do when you're trying to lose weight. I know some people would just like basically like do intermittent fast and lose weight. Yeah, those things works. But the problem with that is, let's say if you have like a big appetite, you can still overeat on that 8-hour window. It's hard, I know, but for some people, they do struggle on losing weight still, even if they're doing intermittent fasting. Like, I've met lots of people who are stuck in their weight loss journey because they're just doing this thing, but they're basically not accounting the fact that how much calories going in. Very simple, like law of thermodynamics applies into this journey. Like in my next videos, I'll talk about like the importance of like calories and macro counting. Like, that actually could speed up your weight loss journey. The next thing I wanted to talk about is managing your emotions and stress. Like what I said before, stress eating is a coping mechanism. You can teach yourself to cope from stress without actually shoving food in your mouth. Like, I've taught myself on how to do that. Like back then, I was actually guilty of like stress eating. In my case, like in my profession, it can get really stressful because I'm dealing with people's lives. The vicious cycle that I had back then is that after work, I just end up buying like fast foods like KFC or McDonald's in general. And yeah, I just eat that and feel guilty the next day. So it's like a vicious cycle. So when I managed to find out about my stress eating as a coping mechanism, I replaced it with something else. I did like different things, such as like I did meditate. Like, it didn't work out for me straight away because I am a person that can't stay still back then. But right now, I'm getting better at it. But the thing that really helped me from coping from stress in general is just like doing some daily walks. The reason being is that when you just take a walk outside your house or just around your neighborhood while not listening to anything at all, you're just basically training your brain to be still. It's gonna be hard at first because we live in a world with lots of distractions around, like social media, notifications that will get your attention, things like that. That's a form of distraction. Social media scrolling, like your dopamine receptors getting overwhelmed. And unfortunately, with coping mechanism, like you just want an immediate comfort and you resort into foods in general. For me, the breaking point is that when I learned to catch that behavior, like I did ask myself, is stress eating in general helps me long term? And the actual answer is no. It's actually setting me back onto my fat loss goal. So I removed it and replaced it with something else, like walks. Now I'm doing meditation like once a day at least, and it does help me to slow down, like just being clear with my goals in general, and just being more aware on what's happening on my surroundings. And when I said before, like being aware, it's like it's creating awareness about yourself. When you're catching these triggers, there's a thing called that, I don't know if you guys heard about David Goggins talk about the 1 second rule. It's basically learning to catch yourself when you're starting to fall back into your old habits. The 1 second decision, basically you have that moment, like you have an option to choose. Let's say if I'm stressed from work and I'm about to head home and I saw McDonald's while I'm driving past it. So I just have that 1 second moment. It's like, should I buy that? And basically suffer afterwards. Yeah, it does give me an immediate comfort because it tastes good. Or just divert my attention to something else that is more beneficial, such as like I can do my walks, meditate, or read books. That way I could divert my attention away from the stress. So I have that 1 second moment every now and then. That's one way for me to like catch myself if I'm starting to fall back into my old habits. Like until now with my other aspects of my life, like I do practice that 1 second decision, especially with my behavior, because at the end of the day, life isn't just about like losing weight. We try to become like a better person as we get older. So yeah, learn to catch yourself when you're falling back into your old habits. And when you're having this moment of 1 second decision, you have to have a visual cue. What I mean by that is like, first off, I wanted to ask you guys to visualize yourself, let's say 6 months from now. What does that person look like when you try and lose weight? Like let's say, is it like a smaller waist, like a skinnier figure compared to where you're at right now, toner arms. So after you visualize your future self, always ask yourself, what does this future self would do on a daily basis? When you're about to make a decision, like let's go back to that 1 second moment. Like when you're about to make a decision, what does your future version would do in order for you to get there long term? So I always use that practice every day to myself. Like right now, I'm creating this YouTube channel because I just like to talk about fat loss or just like being healthy in general, because like that's one area of my interest. I did visualize myself that I am able to help hundreds of thousands of people around the world with this platform, like that I've changed people's lives. So I did visualize myself on creating this vlog series, and what does that person, or what does my future YouTuber version would do in order for me to get there. I'm keeping an accountability to myself that I will upload like 2 videos per week at least in order for me to grow the channel. So right now I'm trying to be consistent on doing that, so that's why I like to just basically talk about things that I've learned throughout my own journey. So yeah, visualize your future self and always ask yourself, what would that future version of yourself would do? And then if you keep practicing that every day, you'll build that momentum, and then you won't realize that you'll get to that version of yourself that you visualize. And another thing that works out for visual cue is that if you want to lose weight, write that down on a piece of paper. Let's say you want to drop 10 kilograms from today to, let's say, sometime around 6 months from now. Write that down and then place that written piece of paper where you can always see it, because that will build a reminder to yourself that you have a certain goal that you had in mind that you wanted to achieve, and that actually primes you each day. Like in my case, I have like a visual cue that I've tattooed in my arm. I decided to have like a diamond tattoo in my arm because I do believe on a concept that diamonds are only created under immense pressure, and pressure meaning setbacks, struggles. Those things actually makes me stronger. So that's my visual cue. So that always reminds me of to just keep going through hard times. So in your case, like if you're just starting to lose weight, you can write down your goal on a piece of paper, put it in the front of the fridge just in case you feel like binge eating or grabbing like some food in your fridge, and then you'll see that and then you're just like gonna be reminded, and that will enforce like a loop in your head that you will stick into your goals. The next thing is you have to curate your environment. When you're in this journey, it is important that you surround yourself with like-minded people that will help you to achieve your goal. Let's say if you're trying to lose weight, but you're actually surrounded by people who likes to eat out, I guarantee you won't achieve your goal because you're gonna get influenced by those people. There's a saying that I think Warren Buffett said this, like, show me 5 of your friends and I'll show you your future. So I hate to be that person, but if you surround yourself with fat people, let's say 5 fat people, the end result is that you're gonna be fat. So find a group of friends that is actually had the same mindset that you have when you're trying to lose weight. It's easier to sail the ship where the current's going rather than sailing against it, because if you're not curating your reality, you're basically sailing against the current, and that would either push you back or slow down your progress. Curate your environment. So when you're trying to sign up for, let's say, the gym or finding a place to do your exercise, I wanted you guys to think about that. It has to be easy, to be honest. I wanted you guys to find a place that is most convenient, because you don't want to create friction when you're trying to establish this routine. Because when you have so much things that are stopping you from going to that gym, I guarantee you that you will not go there. You'll just find different excuses, like let's say it's too far, or the gym is too crowded, or something that is creating friction or stopping you from going in. So you have to find a place that is very convenient, that is easy for you to stick in your routine. That is that. And like I said before, learn to check on yourself. I would suggest it on a weekly basis. What I mean by that is that just simply taking a photo of your progress. Like take a photo of yourself in the mirror. So in that way, you can see the magic of consistency that you're doing, because you'll be amazed, like in that 6 months, you won't really see the result like every week. But if you look from week 1 to week 16, you'll be amazed how much progress you made as long as you stick into your routine and to your consistent habits. And also, like, by just like simply checking on yourself, you're teaching yourself to be accountable on these things that you have set for yourself. So yeah, that's just basically what I wanted to talk about on the psychology of losing weight. Like I said, in the future videos, I can get into the different aspects of losing weight, such as the technical ways on how to do it, like counting calories, supplementation, exercise, things that actually lines up with your weight loss goals. But for now, we just talked about the psychology because it's important for us to plant that seed in your brain and let it germinate, and then from there we can start like growing it by adding more information. So losing weight is not just about like the number on the scale or losing those love handles in your waist. It's actually about building a life that you thank yourself in the future. Also, it's a journey that will teach you how to remain consistent and disciplined because you're developing a strong mind and body throughout this journey. And remember that every step forward into this journey is a sense of accomplishment. So if you guys like this video, I would really appreciate if you guys hit the subscribe button. Also, press the like button for me as well in order for the YouTube algorithm to recognize my channel. Since this is just being the second video, I would greatly appreciate the engagement that you guys will provide in order for my channel to grow. Also, you can drop by a comment on the comment section if you guys have any requests that you guys would like me to talk about in terms of like losing weight. I can make a quick video about it. Hope you guys like this video, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.